Hey everyone, so I'm really looking forward to talking about this subject on how bullying can help you grow. So let's dive straight in. First of all, I remember when I used to be picked on in school by a boy who used to tease me, tell me that I had a moustache, I was a bit too hairy for a girl, and just little name calling. But I tell you something, like that was enough for me. I could not hack it. And it basically showed me later on in life that my confidence and self-esteem was incredibly low. So this kind of carried on throughout secondary school, the little teasing and the fact that I didn't have a big group of friends, which definitely influenced how I showed up in school. So I remember I was never spoken to about bullying at home, and it was only later on as I became an adult I realised that hurt people hurt people. You couldn't find a truer, conclusion to that. However, what I found is that a typical bully tends to pick on things that we are not so confident in or that we are lacking in, I will quote, because of course I don't condone bullying, it's disgusting. Children are just cruel and mean, but at the same time this video is to help individuals deal with such a difficult thing and find a way to use it to their advantage. And that's what life's all about. Life is all about pushing through the mud and learning to become a better version of yourself, because we cannot allow these situations to bring us down and to keep us down. We have to learn to get up and brush it off and continue, because life goes on. And we are not going to allow the likes of bullies to master us. No. So I remember in secondary school, year 7, we first of all, we think we look great, don't we? We tend to have this new look that we're sporting. We think we're the bee's knees. And I remember I had just started to do my eyebrows, and I didn't know if you were meant to pluck them from above or below. So I started doing it from above. Little did I know this was not the way to do it. And when I found out, I decided to shave them off. Yes, they all went. And I replaced them with a brown pencil, a brown eyeliner. And that was me. I went to school, my skirt was almost brushing the floor, it was that long, and I thought I looked great. And I remember a girl walking past me and she was like, "Oh, I love your eyebrows." And I think it was raining that day, so it was probably smudging a little bit down my face, and I felt awful. It was just horrible. And I remember looking at all the other girls, none of them had a skirt as long as mine. I mean, I'm a 90s baby, so obviously back then we were dressing and carrying ourselves a lot different to the girls now. I have a daughter and she is not walking around with her belly out wearing a mini skirt. However, a skirt just above the knees is fine for me, but mine was well and truly below the knees. And I didn't realise, I wish I had a picture of how I looked, because if I was to look at me then, I think, wow, like, I love you, but what were you thinking? Oh my gosh, those eyebrows, that skirt, when you can just feel the cringe. But, we love ourselves through it. We always go through that ugly phase where we're learning a bit about ourselves, experimenting, trying new things. That is all a part of growing up, isn't it? So I'm looking down here because I've got my notes. But so yeah, again, it taught me that my confidence and self-esteem were incredibly low. And these things, it's like we have a backpack as we get older, and for each thing that we experience, we carry a stone. And when we reach adulthood, we realize that this backpack is really heavy and there's things we need to unpack and resolve. And until we become aware and conscious of these situations, we can't bring them to light. Like, we can't work on them and heal them. So this lack of confidence and self-esteem was a real thing for me, and it was only until recently I realized, wow, you've got some work to do. So now I always say to my daughter, bullying will help us grow, because nothing is meant to break us. And all we should do in these times is ask ourselves, okay, how do I show up? How do I communicate? How do I present myself? How am I around my friends? And in asking ourselves these questions, and of course I can appreciate when we're younger, unless we have a guardian or a parent exposing us to these enlightenments, we're not going to know, because at that age we're still developing. So we need to have that role model stepping in for us. And I try and do that for my daughter now, because it's definitely something we all experience, some more than others. And I can appreciate it's a very sore subject, and it's definitely one to be spoken about. So this is how I learn how to take bullying to our advantage. And the same goes for a workplace environment. There's always going to be somebody we don't get on with, especially the managers, but it's a great way to ask ourselves, okay, how does this person make me feel? Like, what emotion am I experiencing? Is it fear? Is it rage? Is it anger? Is it grief? How is this feeling in my body? Because that's a great way to be able to target a potential wound that you may need to deal with. And it's also a great way to figure out where you are in your healing journey as well, if you've already started. Because if you all of a sudden are no longer triggered by certain individuals, then great, you've learned how to not allow others be the master of you, because in theory that's what we're doing. People who constantly complain and allow others to get to them, you are allowing them to be the master of your emotions. And that is not a stoic mindset to have. Being stoic is pretty much that, understanding that we are the creator of our own happiness, and we are not in control of how others teach us, in how others treat us. We're not in control of the weather, we're not in control of traffic, but we are in control of the decisions we make. So if you want to avoid traffic, then give yourself more time to get to wherever you need to get to. Therefore, if the traffic does come your way, you are not aggy about it, because you already prepared in time for that, you see? So in life, perception is everything. Like, how you look at every single situation definitely makes a difference. You can either look at it from a negative standpoint or look at it from a positive standpoint. And with bullying, it's a great way to ask yourself, how can I grow in this situation? Can I become a better person? Why am I triggered so much by this individual? Is there something I need to actually really work on? Because although bullying really hurts, again, as I mentioned before, they tend to pick up on things and it's not right. But here I am just showing you a way of trying to deal with this critical subject in hand. Because just remember, people will test you throughout your whole entire life. It's just how it is. We cannot do anything about it. But what we can do is decide whether we're going to react or respond. And usually we react in a haste, in anger, and that shows up in our body over time. We start to hang on to bitterness, resentfulness, hate, spite, jealousy, and later on in life, this is a separate topic, but it definitely shows up internally or even externally. Anything from, even spots, it's a stress response, and it's always good to learn how to respond to any situation rather than react, because when we respond from a healthier perspective, again knowing, all right, if somebody hurts me, why am I going to lower myself to their standard? I'm going to rise above it, chin held high, and be like, okay, thank you, and move on. Because angry people and sad people, remember, unfortunately, they want people to feel how they feel. A lot of them can't bear to see a happy person, so they'll try and break you down. And a lot of the time it works, but I'm here to say no. Like, you are not going to be anyone's puppet, and you're going to learn to rise above it and use bullying to become that better person, to build on your character. So before I end this video, I just want to say, even now to this day, I despise bullying, and it's something I've definitely had to work on in terms of not allowing that rage to take over. But when a situation does arise, my heart tends to go out to them, because there are a lot of angry, wounded individuals, sadly, walking the planet. And whenever something does come up, I think, wow, what is this person going through? What have they gone through? What are they currently experiencing? Where are they hurting? Because it's never somebody who's not going through anything, and it is difficult, but treating people with love heals all wounds. It's not time. All that happens with time is you realize that you're much older, still carrying that weight and that baggage and those issues you had when you were younger. I've learned this because I used to always say, time, it makes things feel a lot better. It's not that. It's you've just learned how to deal with something better. It doesn't show up the same way. It doesn't mean to say you're healed from it. You have just buried it deep within, and it will come out in certain situations in life. So learning to love yourself, learning to love others, especially, again, like with the bullies, they're in lack, and they need that love, and they don't know how to express their traumas other than being horrible to other people. So it really does help to shine light on this subject from a completely different perspective. It definitely makes a difference, and I hope this video has helped.